got to tell you, I don't think it sounds bad at all. What do you think, Ernie? Good afternoon, everybody. Name here is Bob. Calls November Mike 3 Yankee.
Yeah, no problem, Bob. NM3Y, KD2BRM. Fine business there. Yeah, I saw you're up on 94 there. I heard you because I had the pass band opened up wide enough. Yeah, Brett, when you remove the low cut and you put it back in where you allow it to pass, it sounds nicer to me. It's not muffled, but you probably have a little bit more punch when you have the low cut kicked in. But if you could not do the low cut and then maybe just kick down, I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what EQ settings you can do, and maybe Bob can critique you there as well. I think if you don't use the low cut and allow the lows to pass, you might be able to just fine-tune some of them out through the menu, and then you might split the difference. You always put in a good signal here, so the more you quiet the background, the more bass and fidelity you can have, and when you have a piss weaker signal, you need more, audible crunchiness. So you usually never have a signal issue. So I don't know. Try removing the low cut, run it normal, and then maybe you can just fine tune the EQ just a smidge more. But I think it sounds good either way. I like it bassier, but it's not muffled in any stretch of the imagination. Over to you, Brett.
I agree with Ernie, Brett. When you got rid of the low cut, I definitely noticed it.
Okay, yeah, I know it's pretty effective. I got the low cut out, so it's not cutting the lows, and I got the frequency set at 200 hertz, and I cut that a couple of more whatever steps, from like a 4 to a 6. So maybe it sounds a little bit better, but. All right, well, hey, I'm getting a fairly decent report. I am running it into an amplifier, the SB200, and I'm getting about 120 watts out of it. I don't think I'm flat topping or anything. The mod monitor, the REA mod monitor shows 115% positive, and looks like I do hit the baseline from time to time. Let me load it up a little heavier. I'm loading it up a little heavier. I got 130% positive on peak, so I guess I was 115, 120, I don't know, something like that. And do hit the baseline every once in a while. So, yeah, I guess it works. At least, I guess, hopefully it works as good as the 7300. And it has I think a nicer receiver. Because Bob, you would appreciate the. It doesn't go down to 20 hertz, but it goes a lot lower than the ICOM. I measured it, and I think it starts rolling off about 80 or 70 hertz, and the ICOM's much higher than that. So how's this sound?
Yeah, I think for what it is, it sounds good. I've heard a lot of 7300s on the air, and I would think, and I don't know what you think about this, Ernie, but I would think a 7300 has a little bit more high end. I kind of noticed that, listening to myself on my FT-DX10. I have the same mic you have. What is it? The M70 or whatever the heck it is, Brett. And I didn't really mess around with AM much, other than just trying to set it up for what I thought it was, and like I said, I was listening to you earlier on 40. I was listening to you on a different receiver. I'm listening to you on an HR10B receiver now, matching this DX60B, but I did notice when you got rid of the low cut. And if, for a rice box, I just, I think it sounds, fairly good. There's no question about it. But I do think a 7300 might have a little bit more of a high end. What do you think, Ernie? NM3Y.
November 3, Bravo Golf India.
Yeah, I see another carrier in there. If there's another station trying to get in, I can't hear you. I see your signals in there. If the other two guys can, excuse me, hear you, maybe they could pick you up there. Sorry about that. Yeah, I agree, Bob. I believe the ICOM passband is like 300 to 2700 on AM. It's quite narrow, and if Brett's able to get 50 to 3000, you know, that's obviously going to help you on both ends. I personally think it sounds great, Brett, for what it is. I would leave it like this for a while, and maybe not even tell anybody what you're on. You know, they're clearly going to know you're not on your homebrew broadcasting stuff there, but you know what I'm saying. Sometimes when you tell people too much information, they start to get that placebo effect, and they start finding things wrong because they know what rig you're running. I would keep it secret, just run it, let people critique. I think it sounds excellent, man. It's probably the best rice box I've heard in quite some time. So, back to you, N2DTS in the group, KD2BRM.
November 3, Bravo, Golf India.
Yeah, I hear November 3, Bravo, Golf India. That's Carl out there. Good afternoon. Okay, well, I'm, you know, I don't normally use this radio a whole lot. It's kind of a low power setup, but if I want to go on some other bands, and you know, 10 meters has had some openings, and you know, something to jump on every once in a while, you know, quick and easy, put it that way. Quick and easy. Anyway, I do hear N3B Bravo Golf India. Over to you. The call here is November 2 Delta Tango Sierra. You got November Mike 3 Yankee Bob in there, and Kilo Delta 2 Baker Romeo Mike Ernie is also in there. So go ahead. I believe it's Carl from N2DTS.
USOs with this 25-watt jet carrier AM. I'm located here in Dunbar, PA, about 50 miles southeast of Pittsburgh. Running a 10-10-599 Eagle, about 25-watt jet carrier AM out to a Comet CHA 250 for Alpine Mountain Hill.
Well, it's doing pretty good here into southern New Jersey. You know, Ten-Tech used to hate AM, but they put it on some of the radios, and some of them I think don't sound too bad. But pretty clear, understandable audio. We'll put it that way. Not real strong, of course, but it seems it's working pretty good here. You can get reports from the other guys from N2DTS.
I'll be listening here if anyone wants to give us some signal reports.
Yeah, he has a lot of QSB on his signal here, and I'm having a hard time hearing him. The signal's way, way down. I think he said he's running 25 watts. I missed this call. I think, Brett, you said his name was Carl. Okay, Carl, if you can hear me or not. Name here is Bob. The call's November Mike 3 Yankee. We are in northeast Pennsylvania in the southern Pocono Mountains. We're about 75, 80 miles directly north of Philadelphia, just to let you know where we are if you can hear us. All right, looks like I'm on 7290, pretty close. So anyway, over to you there, Ernie, if you can hear Carl. This is NM3Y.
Yeah, I could tell he's in there. I actually was able to hear some stuff earlier, but he's just at my noise level, not enough to come over. So, Carl, if you can hear me, this is Ernie, Kilo Delta 2, Bravo Romeo Mike. Same issue here. I'm on Long Island. I just cannot pull you out of the noise there. So, sorry there. I'll send it back to Brett since he's got a copy on you. Over to you, N2DTS, and the group KD2BRM.
Yeah, you know, it's a great receiver in this Yaesu. Supposedly, you know, really quite good receiver, and I believe it is. I think it's a pretty good performer. It's pretty low noise, and selectivity is really good. Carl is running a Ten-Tec 599, which is an Eagle, and I had a version of that, which was the Ten-Tec Argonaut 5, I think it was. And it's sort of like an SDR DSP radio without the SDR display, and it was capable of some pretty good audio. I think it went out to like 3500 or 4 kilohertz on AM. Wasn't bad, but it did have some kind of strange things to it. But it was a neat little radio, and the Argonaut actually had a real mechanical SN power meter. It was a 20-watt radio, I believe, so 5 watts carrier. Pretty neat radio. Not a lot inside the radio. It was all done mostly in chips and such. So pretty interesting effort from Ten-Tec. Pretty small, pretty neat radio. Okay. I don't know where we're going otherwise, but I really appreciate the help with the audio, and I probably, this thing could probably use a better microphone, but it's a lot of fun to play with, and it's pretty easy to use. I'm not really fond of Yaesu radios, but this one is really not bad. I kind of like the way it works. I like the way it looks. There's a few missing features, but who knows? Maybe they'll add them in firmware. Anyway, Carl, the radio is working real good. Band conditions are not good for 25 watts. So back to you. N3BGI and a group from N2DTS.
It's DTS. N3BGI. Okay, well, I'll let you guys go. Thank you for the radio check, and I wish you a good day, good Sunday there. N3BGI all signed, so 73, and we'll try to see if I can work here again. N3BGI on Jersey URG 73.
Okay, 73's Carl. Glad you jumped in. I heard somebody else I could not pull out.
Yeah, there is somebody in there, but I can't make out who they are. An M3Y.
Hey Bob, you're about 10 over S9 here. A nice strong signal. What kind of signal are you getting from me?
Well, I'm getting a nice strong signal from you, but I'm listening to you on a HR10B receiver Heathkit, which matches this DX60B. So you know how the S meter is. Just based on the signal to noise ratio coming out of the receiver, you got a nice signal up here, Brett. I'm running 5 watts into an AL82 amplifier, exactly 150 watt carrier.
Oh, pretty close. Wow, that's surprising. That thing sounds wonderful.
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me that, so I'm gonna, I did a lot of mods to it 20 years ago, and this is a stock D104 going into it with a stock preamp, so I can certainly do some work on the preamp, but I haven't done that. I keep talking about it, but I keep not doing it, and I just keep leaving it like it is.
I don't think it needs anything. I think that's amazing. It's really working well. Sounds great, and I can't fault it anyway. It's pretty amazing. You don't have any problem with screen modulation can be kind of tricky with the tuning and loading and all that, and even grid drive. And you seem to have it adjusted like really well. I'm going to turn the scope on. You don't have any problems dialing that in, so you get all your modulation and everything. I do a lot of playing around with screen modulation, and the loading is so critical. if I switch between the dummy load and the antenna, even though it's only a slight SWR change, it completely throws off the loading and the percentage of modulation. Like typically, when I go to the dummy load, I get like 200% positive modulation and half the carrier I was going into the antenna. And the SWR change is only 1 or 2, 0.2 or 0.1%. It's just a reactance. And the Pi network, I also found was kind of critical. The inductance in the Pi net and the loading range that you get. But you seem to have that thing, maybe because you run it into the amplifier, which is like stable. And man, that thing is working great.
Well, man, thanks for the positive report. I'll take that any day coming from you, Brett. Yeah, I know you're big into screen modulation. I've been listening to you for a long time talking about that.
That you have. It's been my impression that the IC7300 sounds good right out of the box without a lot of muss and fuss. And the Yaesu is very close, but there are some subtleties that keep the ICOM in the lead, Cody.
Yeah, when I was initially getting an HF radio, it took me a long time. I was looking at the 991 Alpha there in the 7300, and I probably spent 2 or 3 months just kind of doing tick for tack, basically, and I just got to the point where I realized I do a lot of 2-meter stuff and HF stuff at the same time, so I might as well have 2 standalone radios for them.
Yeah, I don't have any of that modern gear, that multi-mode modern gear. For the same kind of money, I bought a brand new AM transmitter that you're hearing. It's a 300-watt AM transmitter, specialized to the task, and it's good for 80 and 40 meters and serves exactly the part of the hobby that I'm in. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And I thought it was a little weird there. Initially I got you on single sideband there, and I'm like, wait, that's not an SFC signal, so I swapped over to AM real quick, and lo and behold, here we are.
Yeah, this is the part of the hobby I hang out in, Cody. It's really the most satisfying. It's got a certain warmth and inviting sound to it, for one thing, but the nature of the QSO also lends itself to storytelling and a bit better development of train of thought, if you know what I mean.
No, it really does, and I understand completely where you're coming from.
Yeah, well, very good. Well, what brings you up from Florida? I guess you just missed the hurricane. You're probably glad to be here, right?
Absolutely. It did wrap around and still hit Chesapeake pretty good. I got a pretty good branch that ricocheted off my roof. I still got to crawl up there and see if there's any shingle damage or anything, but nothing's leaking on the inside from what I can tell.
Yeah, and what brought you up from Florida? Did you have a change of job?
Drag around a little bit.
Oh, yeah, sure. Were you on the Pensacola side of things or the East Coast?
I was over on the East Coast. I was stationed at Mayport. I got pretty lucky. I got 3 duty stations in a row down there, so I was in Jacksonville for roughly 12 years before I got sent up here finally.
Yeah, very good. All my friends were the kids of Navy folks who worked at Oceana, the Master Air Base there. That was a cool site. But, we'd occasionally get down to Little Creek and NOB and all the other Navy facilities in your area. So, yeah, it's a huge Navy presence there. I have to think, even to this day, and I'm talking about back during Vietnam, but I bet to this day, 80% or greater is the military money going into that economy,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we had having our set next or this coming Saturday, but we had a meeting yesterday. 730, catch you later, KADD.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else from traffic? That last call?
Band a bit, so I'm gonna scoot down and just say hello to him. You guys carry on, and I'll announce my presence on the return. But take it away. Don't feel bad.
Okay. Well, 73's there, Ernie. Thanks for the help with Yahoo and letting us monopolize it with this screen modulation nonsense.